would I would keep in mind that a lot of the people you're communicating with are not necessarily financially savvy, and probably some of the people who need to be doing the communication are not financially savvy. So really figuring out a way to put the message um, around finances and the implications for staff into a way that's easily understood. So for example, I mean, Dan talked about how much cash on hand. You know, somebody needs to be doing the financial analysis that says, you know, here's our worst case scenarios. We can project it right now. And so this is, you know, before we would get to the point of cutting staff, we can go, is it 1 month? Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Because if I'm a scared staff person who's not financially savvy and hadn't paid attention to, you know, the church's finances, I'd be really scared. And so that message would either help me know, okay, I, I have right to, you know, I have good reason to be a little bit anxious right now, or maybe I shouldn't be so worried about it right now based on what they're saying. I think that becomes an important part. And then I think, you know, to the other point that Dan made about in some cases, you got a great staff, you know, across the board, in some cases, not so great. That to me then has implications for if you do have to start making cuts in your personnel budget, how do you think about it? Because if they're all great across the board, you start thinking about doing percentage pay cuts for everyone. Because it's like, we don't want to lose anybody, and we're a really healthy team. We all love each other. We can't imagine letting anybody go. On the other hand, if you're overstaffed, as Dan mentioned, if you have some people who really haven't been pulling their weight, you create a lot of resentment if you say, hey, guys, we're going to do 20% across the board pay cut, which means that the people who've been killing themselves for these last several weeks are going to take a pay cut, and the people who weren't killing themselves before coronavirus and have continued to goof off during coronavirus are going to get the same pay cut. And it's like, really? You know, that's how you reward me for how hard I've worked? So, yeah, I mean, those are the kind of things that I think go into the staffing question. Mm-hmm. The one other thing on the other side of it that I thought of is, I bet that one of the interview questions that becomes a lot more prevalent is around innovation and adaptability, going back to some of the things we've talked about before. I mean, if I were interviewing a staff person 6 months from now, you know, I think I would say, so how did you innovate in the midst of, you know, all that we've gone through over the last year?
That's good.
Yeah. And, you know, the person who fumbles over that answer becomes a whole lot less attractive than the person who says, well, you know, I'm the children's person, and we were out writing chalk messages on driveways of all of our kids, and here's how we did our online children's ministry. You know, they kind of go through that list. I'm like, that's the person I want.
Yeah,
that's good.
That's awesome. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they used it was kind of a new phrase on me, but they talked about every pastor right now needs to know what their cash runway is. And I thought that was a good way to put it. So if like what Stetzer's research showed that, you know, what was it, 24% say your giving is down 25%. If you're a pastor or church leader and your giving's down 25%, it's really important for you to know what that cash runway looks like, what those 3 months, 6 month, 9 month scenarios look like as you move forward, just to kind of keep the reality in effect as well.